Hi, I'm Tony Pierce, and I'll be your host today for Marquee Memories, the show where we sit down with your favorite artists and talk to them about their top concert experiences as fans. Today we've got a Grammy-winning singer, songwriter, guitarist, keyboard player, and band leader of a 9-piece band. Together they've sold millions of records and have 17 number one singles. Don't ask them how. They've also recently finished a Sphere residency in Las Vegas, and I hear he likes his chicken fried. Please welcome Zac Brown.
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to LA.
Yes, sir.
What brings you out here?
Came to talk to you.
Oh, hey. Right on. Can we talk about your Sphere show?
100%.
What I loved about even the opening of it was hearing a little Pink Floyd. You guys cover a lot of artists, but I didn't expect Pink Floyd. Just a little snippet at the beginning.
Yeah, the Pink Floyd is my favorite band all time.
Really?
I used to sneak out of my house when I was a kid, and I'd meet up with my buddy that lived in the same neighborhood. We'd sneak out. We lived kind of next to a golf course. And so we'd sneak down the hill and we'd go out and we'd lay on the grass. And I had a Panasonic boombox with a tape. And we'd lay out there and listen to Pink Floyd. And I think I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. And, you know, like climbing down the window outside, second story. And the journey that Floyd took me on. And Pink Floyd played a big part of my childhood.
What album were you guys listening to?
It was The Wall at that point. That was the first thing that got me into it. And then it just evolved from there. And then I got into all of them. Even back then, when CDs were out, you could get the Pink Floyd box set, which was like the first big, beautiful, sick, big giant book and all the artwork, and that had everything, even going back to metal, like some of the really early stuff on there. One of these days, like laying out there and listening to One of These Days, just like, I like things like that that can make you feel something, make you feel scared. Like there's a monster beating on your door. It's like crazy. But Floyd, man, that's still all-time favorite band.
How long from listening to The Wall and really getting into it did you see the movie?
I didn't see the movie till much later, probably in college.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was probably 17.
What got you into them? Was it Another Brick in the Wall? Was it Comfortably Numb?
I think my buddy, I think his name was Chris Jones. His parents listened to all 70s music. And I'm glad they did. And my brother listened to 70s music too. So I think that was the greatest era of music ever. So between those two different influences, stumbling on things. But when I really listened to Pink Floyd for the first time and listened to that album, and it felt like I'd just been in an amusement park. Like it just took me completely on a journey, on a ride. And I realized the power that a real album can have when it's done the right way. And but I've been loving music my whole life. Like that was my first love. When I was like 2-3 years old, I would not shut up. I was singing. My brother hated it. He's like, shut up, quit singing. If you don't know the words, just shut up and quit singing. I just couldn't. I was infectious, man. That was my first love.
A lot of musicians, especially you're from Georgia, sing in church. Was that where you were singing first? I
was singing in church. I was in choir in 1st grade. So when I was 6 years old, they had a great choir program in school. And I was singing, you know, Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis and learning show tunes. And that's why it's so important to have music in school. Man, that started the journey off when I was 6 years old. And then my mom, riding back and forth to school, she would play James Taylor and Jim Croce and Gordon Lightfoot and Dan Fogelberg. And I don't know, man, I was just in love with it.
Did any of the kids make fun of you as a boy being in the chorus?
No, not really. I played football also from the time I was 5 till I was 16. So I played football 11 years. And I always had my guitar. From the time that I was 7 until all the way through college. That's what kept me from having dudes rubbing Ben Gay on my nuts, because I could play Pink Floyd for them on my guitar.
What was the song that you would play for them?
Wish You Were Here. That's, you know, they're literally like smashing dudes' heads in lockers. They're like, you play some Floyd? And I'm like, down, down, down. And I'm just watching my buddies get smashed. And I'm like, oh, thank God, it's not me.
Do you remember when you realized you could really actually play the guitar, no problem?
I started taking guitar lessons when I was 7. I started studying classical guitar, and I had a good local guitar teacher and just learning simple stuff, man. But I loved it. And then I carried that guitar everywhere. I had it was a little Pepe, like 3/4 size classical, and it had a fake Louis Vuitton case. You know, it looked like that, but it wasn't. So somebody broke in my house in Atlanta when I lived there, and they left my dad's Martin sitting on the ground, 65 Martin D28S. They left the Martin, but they stole the fake Louis Vuitton case, which I'll take the Martin over that. That was my dad's guitar.
Yeah.
My brother got it for him when he was in 1965. But yeah, that was my first guitar. And I'm really grateful that I did that, because when you're first learning guitar, it's mainly chords and your right hand's just kind of strumming or whatever. But I was learning, how to use both hands when I first started. Mm-hmm. I think that really helped me a lot, because I didn't know what a chord was until I went to summer camp, and then there's counselors sitting around and playing chords. I'm like, how many chords are there? What is that? What is a D chord? And it just cracked me open, man.
So is that classical training why you still play a lot of nylon strings?
For sure. Mm-hmm. Where a nylon sits in the mix, it's just a different texture. It's a different thing. And the story behind that, so I played house gigs. I created a business model for myself when I started playing. So when I went to college, I was playing in bars at night. Once I figured out I could go to like sports bars that didn't have live music and say, we're going to play here every week. Just give me a tab. And then eventually I want the door. And we did that. We would play 3 nights in Atlanta, 2 nights in Panama City, 2 nights in Birmingham, played 7 days a week for almost 6 years. And we could slam a place on a Wednesday. And I've had restaurants, I've owned bars and restaurants, and you lose your ass through the week. But Friday and Saturday is where you make all your money back. So if you can fill up a weeknight with something to do it. So we created that business model, and we were touring. I had to hire a guy to drive, and I'd sleep against the window of the truck and drive 5 hours down to Panama City. And then, we'd sleep a little bit, and then we'd play after the show, and just running that circuit, man. But if I'd gone and tried to like get gigs somewhere that they had live music, and like if you try to go to Nashville and make it playing music, you might make $60 a night, $100 a night. Mm-hmm. But I was just trying to figure out how to add value to their business and doing it, and then ended up, that's how we built our grassroots following. We'd have 300 people in a sidelines, in a sports bar on a Wednesday night, and the owners are stoked and they're happy, and I'm making, $1,200-$1,500 at the door. And we were surviving, and I could have a good sound man. I could have a killer band. We were grinders, man.
Does a Wednesday night sports bar crowd want to hear originals, or do they want to hear covers too?
Oh yeah, they did. But you got to earn their respect with things that they know.
Right.
And then you can slide a cover, an original in. You can slide an original and see, how they react to it. Mm-hmm. Like I was playing Chicken Fried in bars way before it was even on an album or whatever. But I could see that people reacted to it, and
they got it.
Yeah, and that was before everybody was filming and it was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Now you can't experiment with a song because then it's released, and that's probably the shittiest version of it that's going to be out. Is that first time that you play it, like experimenting before everything's worked out. And
we don't really help much at Setlist, because we'll put live debut on there, and then I'll write a piece about your first time ever playing it. So apologies that.
No worries. Yeah, you got to hold on to it now till you're ready to get it out there.
Mm-hmm. Back to your Sphere show.
Yep.
Right after you did your intro, where you kind of like lay out what people are going to experience, and you played your Floyd, you played a song that you hadn't played in a while. Heavy is the Crown.
Heavy's the Head.
Heavy's the Head. I'm sorry. A song that you recorded with Chris Cornell. Is there a reason? I mean, that's a great song. Is there a reason you put it in your back pocket for a while?
Yeah, because it shreds my voice.
Oh.
So screaming and doing the rock screams that are in there. You could do it once in the studio, but doing it 3 nights in a row. So I have to figure it out. So we just shifted it down. I think it's down 3 half steps from where it was on the record at the time. Yeah, but opening with that song, and it was an important song during the time. And I remember sending that song to Chris, and he dug it. And I was like, unreal. Like a bucket list, you got to be brave enough to ask, man. And people can say no, but you got to be brave enough. And he was like, dude, I dig the tune. And, he sang on it, and I was like, dude, he has my favorite rock scream of all time. And one of my favorite rock voices ever. I was like, just give me like 3 different screams, just something I can just take. He's like, I'll just give you a couple and you put it wherever you want. So I remember editing and putting that song together when we did it. And the guitar on that, Donald Dunleavy, who's a guitar player from Georgia, he's like from Macon, Georgia. He was around the same time all my brothers were crushing it. And old school guy. He's my luthier. He's one of my best friends. He's actually turning 80 this weekend, and he's a monster guitar player. I had him play on a loop. I just let it roll, and I let him do every trick that he knew with the Strat. And I literally 18 hours a day of editing and pulling and Frankensteining all of those guitar parts together to make that song what it is. That song is extremely difficult to play. The time signatures, the way that it switches and changes and does things. But we got Chris to sing on it, and that was like, I was so happy, dude, so stoked. And then we got a #1 on rock charts with Chris with that song. So, and also it just symbolizes and I think he also related to the lyrics. He's like, yeah, it was visceral for me when I heard it and I heard the lyrics of the song, because a lot of people don't know what it feels like to have all the pressure being a leader of a lot of people and the responsibility that it takes to do that. And he felt it.
I've got a question about that. You got 5 guitar players playing that particular song at the Sphere, and you turned me on to Marcus King, who, thank you. Sometimes you have him there. As a leader, is it tough to say to the other guitar players, I'm sorry, but I got to bring in this hotshot guy?
No, man, I think that's one of the reasons why our band works so well, because there's not any ego. And when you're confident in who you are and what it is, you give it up to people that have got it, man.
Yeah.
And everybody's stoked when Marcus comes out. Every time I've had Marcus in the studio, which is probably 8 or 9 times now for different projects and different things, every take that he does is brilliant. Yeah. And it's hard to listen through, like, which one do we use? What do we do? And he's like, let me do another one, you know? and then it's totally different, but it's incredible.
Yeah. And he can sing.
Oh my, it's not fair, dude. It's really not fair how good he is, dude. And he plays the drums, and he plays keyboards.
Oh, does he?
And he can play everything.
Wow.
And he sings. It's unbelievable.
But I was thinking about that with Springsteen's on tour with Tom Morello. He's another guy that's got a bunch of guitar players. Got his best friend plays guitar. He likes to shred too.
Yeah.
So I guess among pro musicians, like you say, the egos kind of go down a little bit sometimes.
I think in a best case scenario, when your ego's not running, the show, you're happy to give that spotlight to other people that are great. Yeah. I love it. I love sharing my stage with people that are incredible.
Yeah.
I love sharing that with our fans.
Yeah.
And getting to do it. And it's, and that's the way it should be, man. If you're threatened by somebody because they're better than you, you miss out on the relationship, the experience, the whole thing. Like, there's so many reasons why you need to be able to give credit where it's due.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you one more question about Cornell. When I hear that chorus, it almost sounds like a Soundgarden song. When you were writing that, were you thinking about him a little bit? Or was it a happy accident that he just fit perfect?
No, it was just a happy accident. We'd written the song. Rock's always been in my veins, dude. It's been always a big part of what we do. Over the years, different albums, I've got to have a couple rock songs on there. It wasn't planned to sound like a Soundgarden song. I think when he just stepped into it, it just kind of did. But what an honor. And I got to do Saturday Night Live with him as well. We did that on Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
So cool, man.
Yeah. That's a live show. So, do you get nervous on situations like that? You've been doing this for a long time. Does that freak you out at all?
No. I get excited. And if I'm prepared and I'm ready, and dude, it's been 3 decades of grinding. So it's a chance to do it. And the main thing that I take away from it is making people feel good, moving people. That's the greatest gift that I get back for all the work that we put into doing it, and helping people to make memories with their family and their friends, and uniting people, bringing people together and helping them have a great time, a great night. That's the sugar.
Right. Still with Sphere. Everybody talks about how different the sound quality is. Bob Weir, before he passed, said he almost felt like he had to play the Sphere once he heard, as an audience member, how beautiful it sounded there. And this is a guy that's played everywhere. But I'm curious, for a musician on this stage, do you have to wear in-ears anymore, or is the sound perfect for you guys on stage too?
It's probably the most challenging sound of anywhere that I've ever played. The reason is the PA is behind you. The PA is in the screen, behind the screen. And there's latency. With all the processing to send it fully around where it is to 160,000 speakers, there's processors, and it's fast, but it's not fast enough to stay up with real time. So there's nowhere where you play where the PA is behind you. Not since I was playing with shits on sticks when I didn't have monitors, where I literally just set up 2 JBL speakers behind me, and that's the way I played. There's latency. So as soon as you say a word, you hear that word back just a few milliseconds later. So everything is the whole time. then there's certain frequencies that are kind of trapped up there on the stage, under the stage, that you're picking up in your ears. So it's a little disorienting. We had 2 days of rehearsals at like 8 a.m. because they're playing, Wizard of Oz was going two times a day or 3 times a day, and then we played that night. So we had a very small window, and I don't play at 8 a.m. That's like, I'm second shift. I've been second shift for a long time. So that's like, I've been asleep for like 4 hours normally then. It was disorienting, and it takes a little getting used to. But I know, and when you're standing in front of all the screens, you can't see anything of what you built and what's going on while you're playing. So you're really just giving it all to the fans. They're getting the screen, they're getting the sound quality. I know how it sounds out there because I went to every show that happened that I could go to before we got in there. That's really just a giant love letter to all our fans. And the 2 full years of work and resource, and you could guess what it took to make that happen, but you'd be way off. But the prestige of getting to do it and being the small handful of people that are able to pull that off and do it, I'm really proud of that.
Not to put you on the spot, but now that you've created all that visual stuff, do you think you're going to be coming back anytime soon?
I can't talk about it.
Okay, fine.
But we're using some of those visuals for the tour this year.
Good.
We're doing the Love and Fear tour starting in July. We don't have 4 acres of video to travel around, but we're definitely bringing some of those elements into our show because we made some amazing content for that. There's a future there. I just can't talk about it.
You're one of the few people that I know who has gone to that many shows at the Sphere before. The first time you were, I think I heard you say that you were at U2's opening night.
I was.
Were you totally blown away?
For sure. And there were things that I would wish, after I'd seen the show, there were things I wished that I had more of and less of. So I was studying everything that I was watching. I saw U2, I saw Fish, I saw the Eagles, I saw Anima, I saw the movie, the postcards that was there. And they were all incredible, brilliant moments in the show. And you could kind of tell where the budget kind of ran out and the amount of time for certain things ran out. And I understand it after doing it. As a fan experience, I wanted to know what really worked in there and what didn't. And one of the things that I really wanted more of from all of the shows is to have that 4 acres of video just be a giant IMAG where you're actually seeing the faces and you're seeing their hands and you're seeing the emotion that's happening while they're singing and playing. Yeah. And it's great to have really cool content, but I wanted some of it to just feel like a concert on steroids too. So we leaned a little more into more of the live performance piece with our show, which as a fan, that's what I wanted. But I'm glad that I went to study it all. I'm a hyper curious person. So I want to learn as much as I can about anything I'm interested in. And the Sphere was one of those things. It was dive in, 2 years of making set lists, 2 years of making all the content, 2 years of all the wardrobe that goes with each one of the sets for each person and how it interacted, what the stage looked like, what the lighting looked like, what the story was happening, because I wanted to thread a story through it too. So it was like this big rock opera Broadway / concert. I mean, it's kind of a wonder of the world, and you can't really relate to it until you go see it, see something there.
And you're obviously way into art. Your tattoos are incredible.
Thanks.
And so this is probably like the coolest canvas you're going to get for a little while.
It's the greatest canvas for imagination that exists right now.
And so to your point about the costumes, even your crown on that first one, how'd you get that?
Well, the song's Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown.
And but do you have a production person, a designer?
I worked with a great wardrobe design guy that helped to do it. We dreamed through it. He was plugged in. He worked on a lot of movie sets. He had different resources in different places that could do it, that 3D printed the crown and then put the lights into it and then put the battery packs into it and put everything. So, and then the exoskeletons that we wore and everything that we're doing. And, that's the theatrical side of it. And it's Las Vegas. It's not like the big cabarets where you got all the showgirls dancing with all the feathers and all the things. This is just like our weird version of that, but I wanted it to be all the things.
Let It Rain. Great song. But that's a song that you also hadn't played in 8 years.
Yep.
Is that another one that shreds your voice, or was there another reason?
Yeah, I mean, when play a show as any fan, I'm a fan first, music fan first, and still am. Having 17 number one songs, when you come out to play, you got to play 10 of them or 12 every single night. So that's half your set list. So when we made that record, we went in Southern Ground, and I ran into Dave Grohl in LA at a John Barbados store, and we kind of hit it off, and he was filming Sonic Highways at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he was telling me what he was doing, and I was like, dude, I've got a historical studio in Nashville. It was Monument Records. Like, it doesn't get any more badass than that.
Right.
And he was like, can I come, you know, work there? And so on that episode was filmed at my studio at Southern Ground, Nashville. And we did that whole record to tape, and having Dave in there. And it was kind of wild because that same week we were there, the CMAs were happening down the road. And I called my buddy Robert Deaton, and I was like, dude, I'm recording with Dave Grohl right now. Like, could we come play a song? And he's like, you gonna bring Dave Grohl to CMAs? I said, fuck yeah. And so we did Day for the Dead, and we got Manuel to make the suits and everything with the skeletons on them and everything for everybody. And Dave played drums. We got Dave to play drums. I had him play him in the studio, and I was like, dude, you want to go down and play the CMAs? He was like, let's fucking go. Love Dave, man. However cool you think that he would be to hang out with is better than that.
Well, you should love him a little bit more, because that's the first time I ever heard you. Because what a great concept, where he talks to people that he really respects, and they go kind of behind the scenes and show how music is made. And he's no BS artist. Like he's in it for real. You know, he really loves the music. And so through him, I learned about you. Through you, I've learned about Marcus. And I kind of feel like a lot of people are like that.
If we had egos, we would be like, there's nothing else besides me.
Right.
We would be, you want to share that spotlight, and you want to have it. You want to spread the love around, man, and create that community.
Okay. But also, how cool that he said if he was in any other band, he'd want to be in your band.
Oh, no. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's surreal, man. And after that CMAs too, we went out to Losers, and I remember bits and pieces of that night, but I remember someone ripped the ATM machine off the wall, and then all of us like had our shirts off, and it was in there. That was a night with Dave after the CMAs, dude. It was wild. And I remember I had just gotten like my first Collings guitar, like this badass dreadnought guitar. And I was so proud of it. And I had it in there, and I was playing some songs in the back out there. I remember just a bunch of all the artists were there. And Toby Keith came in, and he'd had a lot. And he's like, let me see that guitar. And he took the guitar, and he just swung it behind his back, and he bashed it on the pool table, and it cracked the whole back of my Collins guitar. And I just like paid $4,000 in cash for that guitar. And that was a big deal for me at the time. Yeah. I was like, that was a lot of dough. And I didn't say anything about it. I just let it ride, you know. But lots of memories of that night, man, and hanging with Dave. But getting back to Let It Rain, I love that song. I love the arrangement of it. We've been playing it now. That's actually going to be in the set for this year. But getting to bring it back for Sphere, when we're putting together the set list for Sphere, we wanted to have the ride of all the different genres and all the different music. So even when I was writing Love and Fear, the album, thinking about what is going to be the most cinematic thing that we're doing, and like Animal, the song Animal that we did on there, I knew what the content was going to be. So I was trying to create the song around the visuals, around what's happening. So it's the first time I've really gotten to do that. First time I've gotten to record with a full orchestra, 30-piece orchestra, and have a 12-person choir. Yeah. And then the 9 people in my band, and then collabing with Dolly, collabing with Snoop. I checked off a lot of boxes, a lot of bucket list things on this album, and I'm really, really proud of the music on there. I mean, I think there's some songs on there that are as good as any ones that we've ever written. It's more challenging these days because of the amount of content that people consume and the amount of and the duration of people's attention spans to get people to really digest an album. But you still got to fight for it. Right. Still got to fight for it. Still got to put yourself into everything. We don't mail things in. We really try to make things as good as we can and exceed expectations. And I know if I get it to a point where I really love it, and it's just as a fan of music, then that's really all I can do. And then we get out, and this will be the first tour since Sphere that we get to actually play some of these songs for more of our crowd. When
you first heard that orchestra and that gospel choir knock it out, was it Was it better than you hoped it would be? Did it match your vision?
It did. We made sure that it did. We made sure. And Matt, my bass player, Matt Mangano, he was the one because I was working on other stuff, and I was doing all the press and doing everything. Like I did a lot of work to try to, because we did all the marketing for the album and all the marketing for Sphere kind of all in one, and we did it fully independent. Mm-hmm. And we put a real budget behind it, and we just put the elbow grease behind it. It's just like whore me out to everything and everyone to try to do it. We wanted to prove that we could have an independent release and try to get the exposure and do the things. But Matt lived with the choir and the arrangers and everything. He was able to be out in the studio with him, and I'm giving him notes like live FaceTime, going on. And it's funny because when I work in the studio and I can tell my engineer, like, no, I want the sound that sounds like a possum gets smashed in a door. And he's like, I'm like, yes, that's the thing. So my language of communicating that. So when I tell Matt and I'm telling him how to conduct the choir and tell him what it was, like at the beginning of Animal, I'm like, I wanted to sound like a cannibal tribe and like people are getting eaten and this is the thing that's happening or whatever. And he's like, okay. So he read all my notes to the choir and they were cracking up, but we got it.
Yeah.
We got it. So in whatever weird way that I can get the point across, I've got a team of people that can make it happen.
Did you have notes for Grohl when he was in the studio?
We worked together on it for sure.
Uh-huh. I asked because I'd be intimidated as hell. I mean, the guy's awesome, right?
Oh, absolutely. He was amazing to work with.
Uh-huh.
We had that's why we called it Volume 1. So that's the Grohl Sessions Volume 1. So hopefully we can get in and do another one not too far from now.
You're about to do your 15th show at Fenway. You're a guy from Georgia. Why are you going up to Boston to make your mark?
Dude, that city's my home now when I'm there. That city gets behind us, from all the bars and restaurants to the people to whatever. I don't know how it happened, but I'm super grateful. But being in the Fenway Hall of Fame with Billy Joel and Paul McCartney, that's like, it's a dream. Mm-hmm. But that city gets behind us, and that's my favorite place to play.
Really?
Favorite place. It's big, but it doesn't feel big.
Right.
There's not a more American building in the world than Fenway Park.
Yes.
And they've kept it old school. They've kept it exactly like that. It's like, it's baseball, it's concerts, it's the heart of Boston. Mm-hmm. It's like, I love that city.
Are you into baseball?
I am.
So, I mean, obviously I'm wearing a Cubs hat. I may beg to differ about Wrigley Field over Boston, but I think even Cub fans really love Fenway when we first go there because it's the same style of just,
yeah.
I don't even want to call it a stadium. It's a ballpark in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
You can walk there.
I love they committed it to keeping it that way because they could tear it down and build a commercial monstrosity.
Yes.
But they kept the culture the way that it is. They preserved it, and it's so dope.
Yes. And I would say it's even smaller than Wrigley. So and you've played at Wrigley. Mm-hmm. And so are the acoustics any good?
Awesome.
Really? Because it's a smaller kind of a venue.
It's awesome. The baseball stadiums sound better.
They do?
The shape is like this.
Yeah.
So the PA and everything it's going out. It's not washing around in a bowl.
Yes.
Where you're catching all the bass comes back around a second and a half later. And
right.
I love the energy of a football stadium with the people. Sonically, to do it right, you need 5 sets of arrays, just going back and doing it. And if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. And you need to have the sound quality so the people in the back don't get shit sound. Like, right. I think about that. Like, we invest in the best sound systems that we can possibly have. And then they go in and ring it out. They virtually ring the place out, and it tells them what we need. Clear Audio has been our partner for a long time, and they crush it. And that's one of the reasons when you speak a word, when I'm saying something, everyone in the place can hear it. Mm-hmm. But baseball parks in Fenway, the way that it's shaped, and you can still see the people that are in the top row. I mean, you can't see their faces, but you can still see them. You can see them moving around. Mm-hmm. And it feels 45,000 people there. Mm-hmm. But you feel like they're all with you.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest place that you can still have that. Right. And then it's the most badass American shit ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, let's go to your memories.
Merlefest, North Carolina, 1991. I was 12 years old.
12 years old, you're at a music festival. Who brought you?
My brother.
How much older is your brother?
21 years older than me.
Oh, okay. No wonder he was telling you to be quiet.
Not that brother. That wasn't the one that was around. My brother that was living with us at the time. But my brother Wynn was 21 years older than me. He played banjo. He played guitar. And he played bluegrass. He was, flat picking and learning things. So he got me introduced to bluegrass. And it was awesome, man. My brother every year would take me either to his beach house or his beach condo, and we'd go. And every year he took me on a trip.
Nice.
And I owe him a lot because in 1991, he took me to Merlefest. I'd been playing classical guitar when I was 7. I started. Then I started going to summer camp, and I was learning about chords and learning about things. Then I went to Merlefest, and the music that I got exposed to at Merlefest shaped my entire history of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, what I realized that I was capable of doing. They had a guitar competition at Merlefest. They did a guitar competition and a mandolin competition. It's all ages. And you won a Gallagher guitar, like a really nice guitar. I was 12 at the time. There were 9 and 10-year-old kids that were just whipping ass on the guitar. And they would play, and sometimes they would win. And the first time I saw Chris Thiele play, Chris Thiele was heavy and had big crazy hair and was wearing a purple shirt. He looked like Grimace almost. First time I saw Chris Thiele play a mandolin. First time I saw Tony Rice play. Dude, the Tony Rice unit, you could not fuck with. Every person in that band was a demigod of their instrument. It was Tony Rice on the guitar. It was Jerry Douglas on the dobro, Bela Fleck on the banjo, Mark O'Connor on the violin, Byron House on the bass. Seeing that live as a 12-year-old kid blew my mind. Mm-hmm. And dude, Tony Rice on the guitar, he was such a pioneer. And there are people that are, you could argue, but nobody was smoother than Tony. Mm-hmm. And you see it. You see a Billy Strings. I don't know what Billy Strings would be without Tony Rice. First time I saw Nickel Creek, first time I saw Daryl Scott play. Daryl Scott is one of the best troubadours that'll ever walk the earth. Worked with him. He played and wrote on Heavy as the Head as well. Mm-hmm. Had him in the studio for that album.
And some people, when they see incredible talent, they just give up. They're like, I'll never make it this far. Other people are inspired. It sounds like you got inspired by this.
When I saw these kids at that flat picking competition, and I thought, how cool would it be to be able to win one of those guitars?
There you go.
I was on fire when I left there. Because if that 9-year-old kid can do that, I can too.
So you ran home and just started practicing? Did you ask your teachers, how can I do this?
I locked myself in a room with a tablature book that my brother gave me, and I started practicing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this. And that's all I wanted to do.
A lot of guitar players say they slept with their guitar. They're playing as much as they can. Eddie Van Halen was always playing. Were you like that as a young person?
100%. Mm-hmm. I carried my guitar to school every day. They wouldn't let me do it in middle school. In elementary school. But middle school, I have my guitar with me every day.
This is the acoustic?
This is the nylon. Mm-hmm. The little one in the fake Louis Vuitton case. I carried it everywhere that I went.
Recess you're playing?
Oh, 100%.
Lunchtime?
Every minute that I could pick it up and play it.
Are you playing for the girls too?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you playing for the girls in middle school?
It depends. We had in high school, we had this area called the bridge that you had to kind of walk through whatever. Every break, I was there.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get good is you have to be obsessed with it. You have to be obsessed to a level that people don't even understand.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing? At camp, summer camp, Camp Michael, I think I might have been 12 or 13 right after Merlefest. I got the Put the Damn Guitar Down award at camp. But I always felt at home when I had a guitar.
Yeah.
I could be anywhere and just be totally happy and content. Mm-hmm. It was like a friend.
Mm-hmm. Are you still like that? Do you have guitars in every room of your house?
I do. There's periods of time when a guitar, after you tour and grind and deal with all the things and everything, there's periods in my life where it looks like work. Mm-hmm. And that's when I need a break. Mm-hmm. And COVID was one of those things. Mm. We were grinding leading up to COVID, and I really wasn't wanting to play. I wasn't wanting to craft. I'm generally always chasing a song. When I start to feel like I don't really want to write right now, I need a break.
Right.
But there's times when you can't take a break. Mm-hmm. You're just at the beginning of a whole another tour and a whole nother thing. But COVID happened and smashed everything. I had a huge warehouse. I had a 165,000 square foot building full of manufacturing, CNC equipment. I had, 15, 20 CNC machines running for metal and leather and wood. And everything was vertical. My t-shirt press, everything, we were printing t-shirts for lots of different people, big automatic t-shirt presses, fulfillment center, my graphic designers, a film company to make all our assets and stuff for other people, 9 accountants in the building. I mean, I had 100 employees in this building, and that was a lot of brain damage on its own. So I've learned a lot. Everything I've learned pretty much along the way is by punching myself in the face the whole way through. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's something that comes with wisdom and after doing it. Because I'm somebody that believes that you can. So, and then you do it, and then you're like, do I want to continue to do that, or is it smart for me to do that? So, but I didn't have a choice. So COVID came along, and I had to let go of 200 people. I had 250 employees when COVID hit. I had to keep the people around my music machine. I had to sell the building. I had to sell the equipment. Wow. I had to figure out how to survive. I got a massive loan against my masters. I'm one of the only artists that I know of that owns all of their masters, that owns their publishing, that owns their merchandise, their touring. And I fought and negotiated that out hard, because you got to be stubborn and you got to bet on where you're going to be rather than where you are. There you go. And that was the defining moment for me. And even now, having all of that, it may not be as exploited as it could have been, but I was able to hold on to all of it and negotiate it out. And different leverage points. Like, it's a winding story. I mean, it's a long story of like how everything landed the way that it did. But behind it all is obsession and hard work and collecting people, finding people, collecting and figuring out how to take care of them, working when you don't want to work to make sure to get it done. And that's just part of being a man. And then also having kids makes you tough. I mean, you learn a lot when you have kids, because it ain't about you. No matter how tired you are, you got to get up and do it, and you got to grind, and you learn how to be tired and how to get through it. Yeah. That's one of the things that my kids gave me, definitely, was more resilience.
Let me ask you about your next memory.
Sean Mullins, Matthew Kaler, Dahlonega, Georgia, 1995. So Sean Mullins, he had a big song, I think it was called Rockabye, Lullaby was what it was called. But like, everything's gonna be all right. Oh, yeah. That's Sean Mullins.
Yeah, okay.
So, but this is way before that. He was playing at a coffee house in Dahlonega. So I went to high school. I moved from Cumming, where I'd been living, and went up to high school in Dahlonega and moved in with my dad up there. I got to open for this guy that was playing at the coffee house. So me and my best friend in high school, Radford, we opened, and we were, just playing cover songs, but we sang in choir together, and we knew we could sing together, and our voices locked, and he was a great singer, is a great singer still. And we opened up for this guy, Sean Mullins. And while I was watching, and Matthew Kaler, and both of these guys are incredible troubadours, but they did an album together called Jeff's Last Dance. They played together and sang, and I was 14 at the time. And I watched them play, and I knew that night, I was like, that's what I want to do. I knew I loved music. I knew that I was learning and practicing, but I knew from that point on, I was like, I don't care what anybody says. That's what I'm going to do.
What was it about that performance?
Man, I don't know. Sean's an incredible singer, incredible performer, both of those guys. But just seeing them sweating it out and singing and doing what they did, it was just like, that's what I want.
So was it how they made you feel? Did you notice how they made the audience react?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just a fan there with everybody else watching, and it was so inspiring to me. And I'm really grateful that I knew at a young age what I wanted to do. This is what I want. I knew I wanted to build a camp for kids, and which later turned into a camp for veterans as well. But at that time, I was like, because I was going to summer camp every year, and I was a counselor at summer camp and then on staff at summer camps, and seeing the difference that made in people's lives was inspiring. Being one of those kids, camp was great for me, but I watched the transformation that happened with other people I was going to camp with. And I was like, I want to build a camp and I want to play music. And I knew at 14, that was my path. So at least I had something to work toward that entire time. There was no guessing for me. There was no plan B. There's no whatever. It's like, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to go after and do. And I'm grateful that I had purpose and direction.
You've teenagers now, right?
I do.
Do they feel like they might know what they're up to? Are you taking them to shows too? Are you trying to help them hit their aha moments?
I've always surrounded them with instruments. They had some piano lessons, some singing lessons, some violin, just to see what they gravitated toward. I never tried to push them towards anything. I wanted them to love it. I wanted them to follow what they loved.
Yeah.
And one of my daughters is gotten to be a pretty good guitar player. She's learning. One of my daughters plays piano. Same thing. She's good at it. I haven't seen any of them that they want to do that for their job.
Yeah.
They all have different interests. My oldest is at Georgia Tech. She's pre-med. She's wanted to be a doctor since she was 4 years old.
Awesome.
So she's hunting down her dreams.
Yeah.
There's only one of them my son, my two youngest ones will sing in front of me. The other ones wouldn't.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't encourage it or because I didn't whatever, but they felt like pressure, like I can't sing.
Right.
And you can only do things you believe you can. And I tell them that. I've been telling them that forever. But for whatever reason, and they could all sing because when they did voice lessons when they were really little, they could do it. And they had great pitch. And they had the tools to do it, but just didn't have the passion to do it.
Let me ask you about teaching your kids music, because I've got a friend who's one of the nicest guys in the world. His kids are great. He's a fantastic musician. And I was driving his daughter home from school the other day because they couldn't. And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to learn these songs. I was like, trying? Your dad's in the house. Ask him. And she's like, I don't want to hear from him. Are your kids like that too? Is that just a teenage thing?
No, I sit down. Like mine will say, you want to play some guitar? And I love it. I'll sit down and do it and give her a couple things to practice on and do it. And the next time I'll sit down with her, she's got it down. Not really resistance like that, but it's important to have aunts and uncles and other people around because they'll tell them things that they won't tell you.
Oh.
It's important. It's important they have other people that they can talk to about what's happening.
About music?
Well, about life.
Oh, okay. What
they're doing, what they're into, what they're thinking.
And then that trickles down over to you.
Yeah. If it's something that I need to know, I'll find out. And then I can figure out how to approach it in a way that they could do it. But, growing up as a teenager now with social media and all that stuff too, it's a lot more weird than when we were kids.
What's harder, raising teenagers or being the leader of a 9-piece band?
It's not leading the people that are in the band. It's fighting at every turn for every single thing around the business. So I don't have any issues with my people. They trust me. I can depend on them. They're solid people, solid life skills. Yeah. They're very well-rounded. They're unbelievable musicians.
Yeah.
I've earned their respect. So I don't have to fight them for anything. Yeah. I watched documentaries on the Eagles. Like they hated each other.
Lots of bands hate each other.
I couldn't do it. I can't be around. And I think part of my childhood and the way that I was raised or whatever, I'm extremely empathic.
Yeah.
Like if I know you, I can tell if something's wrong.
Right.
You don't have to say anything. I not only notice it, but I feel it.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't be around that. I couldn't be around people that I don't like and people that I don't care how good they are at what they do. Like it's got to be chill. It's got to be good vibes around or it doesn't work.
Also, didn't you study psychology in college?
I did.
Doesn't that help you in the music biz?
That explained my entire family to me.
Yeah.
That turned my anger and frustration that I grew up with and not understanding some of the crazy stuff that I grew up in, that turned it into empathy. Because I realized that they didn't choose to be that way. And it just gave me a whole different outlook.
Right.
And that's really what the song Junkyard was about. It's like I had a moment where I realized that it's a weird moment when you're a kid and you're like, wow, my parents are flawed. They're not superheroes. And I knew that. I mean, obviously, my stepdad, I knew he wasn't a superhero, but there are things that you didn't notice and you didn't see. I studied abnormal psychology and literally the list of everything. And I'm like, okay, that's the challenges that are here with this parent. That's the challenges with this one. That's what's happening. And then I was like, wow, I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that.
What school did you go to for that?
West Georgia. Yeah.
So you're a Georgia guy.
I still live in Georgia.
I love it.
That's home.
What do people not know about Georgia for a musician that you know?
Georgia's incredibly diverse. And I also don't want to live anywhere where I got to lock my doors to my house. I got a lot of guns, so you might not want to come walking in the door if you're trying to mess around. And
probably knives and...
I make knives.
Right.
And I have a lot of knives. Knives have been an obsession for me since I was a kid.
Nobody's stealing that Louis V guitar case again.
They could try. It probably wouldn't be good, though. But be able to leave your keys in your cars where you live. You know, I don't want to live somewhere where I'm on guard and where I can't go outside and take a leak in the morning. Like, that's the greatest thing in the world. You just go stand up outside and just get some fresh air. I mean, get some sunshine on the guy. You know what I mean? It's important.
And that can't be done in Nashville, in Tennessee?
Oh, it could be.
Okay.
Georgia's home, man.
Yeah.
My kids are there. Their mom is there.
I've got grandparents from Fort Valley, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Are grits cool for teenagers these days? Are they eating grits?
Yeah, they like grits.
Okay.
It's not a staple where it's like you're having to make that because you're, on a budget of what you're eating and things like that. But yeah, my kids eat grits.
All right.
And I'm handy in the kitchen. I grew up, everybody in my family cooks.
Uh-huh.
So I've had 3 restaurants.
Really?
And yeah, that I, played music in, and that I'd go back and cook when my line cooks would call in, and I'd cook until 9, and then I'd go sit on the stage and play.
Right.
Food's been a big connector for me. Same feeling when you're playing music. I love to go all out and cook for people I love and put the energy into doing that. I love if somebody else cleans up.
Right.
But I'll spend all day, several days cooking and doing it.
I'm embarrassed to ask this, but in Nashville, there's a lot of country stars that have bar restaurants that they play at. Do you?
No.
Is that something you want to do?
No.
Why not?
I don't drink anymore.
Uh-huh.
And that's Fireball Central.
You might be tempted.
No, let me tell you another thing. I would rather be waterboarded than handle operations of a restaurant after doing it. I'm serious.
It's that hard.
Oh, dude.
So we should give respect to people who can pull it off.
Yes.
Okay.
That world is so hard. And there's an elite group, and there's a reason why people have put their life savings into having their own restaurant, because they love it and want to do it. And a year later, it's over. Money's gone, smashed, dream smashed.
Yeah.
So I made it through that because I was playing there. And the only money that I got to keep was the door money that I had on Friday and Saturday nights. I would split that with my dad. Ah. And my dad helped me to get the money to help start up. My buddy's dad had started Applebee's. So they would refit an Applebee's, and I'd pull up a U-Haul trailer and fill it entirely up with all the old cabinets and all the old brass foot things and all the old things. Like, my first restaurant was called Zac's Place. It was on Lake Oconee, and it was a Frankenstein Applebee's. I built the stage out of the cabinets that hung over the bar.
Wow.
And I chopped up the bars that they had to make our bar tops and things. Had incredible friends that helped me to do it and pull it off. And I learned a lot. Same thing. Punched myself in the face the whole way. Never had to do it. Never ran a restaurant. Never done anything. We made it last for a year and a half, and then somebody bought the property that we were on. But it was time. It was time. Yeah, I've done a lot of things, man. I've done a lot of things, and it's taught me a lot.
Well, one of the things you saw was Pink Floyd live.
Pink Floyd, Division Bell, Bobby Dodge Stadium in Atlanta, 1994. That was my junior year of high school. Wow. And when they came, and I'd been a Pink Floyd fan since I was young, sneaking out on the golf course. But when we went to see the Division Bell, and they had some of the inflatables from Animal, they had everything. Yeah, they had a huge mirror ball thing that was in the middle. It was on an actuator slowly coming up and whatever. It was it was wild.
So, because I was at that tour too. What we loved was that big circle projection screen behind them that was kind of trippy. Fast forward to now, you at the Sphere, it's night and day difference. But at the time, it was kind of mind-blowing, right?
Well, and Love and Fear for us, that was our wall. And similar in the story that we told as well. The things that you go through that are hard, that that you push through to get to do it. But doing it with the biggest spectacle that you could do it in. When Pink Floyd set up the wall, the amount of production that they put up to do that and perform it live, you got to have balls to do that. But that's what sets you apart. Did
you see Waters ever do it?
Yes.
And did that inspire you for the Sphere as well?
I mean, they inspired me my whole life.
Yeah.
Lots of people David Byrne, I watch shows all the time, from The Last Waltz to, our tour we did Past the Jar, where I had all my friends come and sit in and come do things. That's what I was watching and studying. And there's a lot to learn, and then how to make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final thoughts about your Pink Floyd experience.
Yeah.
Did it live up to what you wanted when you were sitting on that golf course, listening to it for the first time, and then finally seeing them live?
Yeah, it was the first big concert I'd ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
And just imagine seeing a Floyd show, your first ever concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's at a bar.
Yes.
It left a mark.
Yes.
For sure.
Thanks so much for coming and spending some time with us. You're on the road, right?
We start in about 3 weeks.
Where are you going to be?
We start in Grand Rapids, but we're all over the U.S. You can check it out at zacbrownman.com. Coming back to Fenway this year. We got a couple shows at Red Rocks. We're going to be somewhere close to where people are. I mean, it's scattered out pretty much. First time that we've done in a lot of arenas in a long time. Going back in a lot of places that we haven't been. So excited to see everybody out there. We've got a killer show. Just got out of rehearsals day before yesterday and trying to push the envelope of what we can do, borrowing from Sphere, but it's its own thing coming out. But yeah, got a lot of surprises for everybody on tour this year. Excited to get back out and be on our bus again. It's been 2 years since we've been able to do that.
Well, again, thank you. And can we look forward to seeing you on Survivor again?
Man, I hope so. That was so fun. That was so fun. 600 people that work on those islands that pull that off.
Never knew.
Between 600 and 700. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Culture was awesome. People were awesome. Execution is awesome.
Yeah.
I felt like I was with my people when I was there.
I love it.
And anytime that I get to go spearfishing and feed people, oh man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.